In this clip, we'll be painting shadows on our legs. Okay, let's go ahead and spin this around. And what we want to do here is not go into too much detail, but we want to paint shadows onto these legs. Here again, we're just going to use our Penta brush. There we are. And I'm going to pull down the flow and size and spacing. Yeah, somewhere like that. Let's make a new layer. Call this shadows. Put this in a multiply mode. And what I want to do is not make super specific shadows because we don't want to get in the way of any actual lighting that might be done. But this should be able to stand on its own as a flat shaded, almost 2D piece. So we want to imply certain shadows. So how I do that is we'll pull our flow down pretty far. I'm going to set my pressure sensitivity to pen pressure on the flow and turn it off on the size. Pull my size down just a little bit more. So I want to think about the light coming from the top and just imply, change our color. White is not going to come through on a multiply. So we'll just make that a really dark gray. We just want to imply this undershadow that's happening here. Bring our size down just a little bit more. Do that in here too, as if this bolt is casting a little bit of a shadow. And like I said, we're not going to get too specific. This just needs to be a fairly subtle thing, but just something to give it that little extra bit of realism. This is darker than I'm going to want, but I like to paint it in while it's very visible, and then we'll mess with our transparency settings on the layer in a little bit. Alright, so I just want to do this in just a few basic places. Underneath things like this that would definitely cast a little bit of a shadow. Right there. And then when we're done with that, we're just going to go ahead and generally darken everything that's underneath. Let's go ahead and get that other side. And this will be easier if I go ahead and come over here to our exploded view. Get right under that screw. Get under here as well. There we go. Don't want to get too carried away. Those are kind of the things that I picture as casting more specific shadows. Okay, let's go a little there as well. Alright, now I want to take this and just generally darken this underside. This is always going to be facing down, and I really don't have any reason not to treat it as such. Alright, so make my brush a bit bigger. Switch it off this tangent warp back to camera. I'm just gonna darken this underside. This doesn't have to be really specific. It's not fine detail, it's just general darkening. I want to separate the top and the bottom. Alright, a little bit more under there. Kind of pull it down along the leg here. Yeah, that's looking good. Okay. Let's do some general darkening underneath here because this would definitely cast a shadow. There we go. Shrink our brush down again just to get underneath these rims a little bit. There we are. Alright, let's take a look at that. And like I said, it's still darker than I would like. Not quite subtle enough. So we're going to go over here to our transparency. I'm just going to bring that down a bit. Just until it's implying a shadow without being too heavy. There we go. Like I said, it's a subtle effect, but it'll just combine with all the other things that we're going to do, help separate things out. And you can certainly go in and add more if you feel the need. And if you know you're going to be, doing real-time lighting, then you may be able to skip this step and not care, but I think it's worth putting in just a little bit into the texture so that it can stand on its own a little better. In this clip, we learned how to paint shadows on our legs.